Today is Thursday, July 14th. What to know about inflation hitting a new peak and a potential compromise with Russia to deal with world hunger. Also, the FDA just authorized a fourth COVID vaccine option. We'll tell you how this one is different than Moderna and Pfizer. Plus, a historic unveiling at the U.S. Capitol, the latest company to go down with the crypto crash. And the details of a Netflix with ads are starting to come out. All that and more stories coming up. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. Inflation has hit a new peak in the post-pandemic era. The latest consumer price index, that measures what people pay for goods and services, came out this week. And it shows in June, prices went up 9.1% as compared to June of last year. That's even higher than what economists predicted. And we're not just talking year over year. The report also says prices went up 1.3% just in 1 month. Most of that increase had to do with the big jump in gas prices that hit a record last month. But prices for food, rent, and electricity also went up. Some analysts say the biggest issue is how the world quickly rebounded from the worst of the pandemic before factories and shipping companies were really ready for a comeback. Then came the war in Ukraine, making matters even worse. That's why inflation isn't just bad in the United States, but in several countries around the world. That said, some economists do think we could already be seeing inflation level off a bit. We're already seeing it with gas prices. Even though the national average topped $5 a gallon last month, it's more like $4.63 a gallon now. The New York Times credits a couple of things for the downturn. One, more supply, since the government has been releasing oil from the reserves. And two, a little less demand, as people seem to be cutting back. So assuming this trend does continue, shipping prices for all goods will start to come down too. And really any company that relies on diesel or jet fuel could be able to lower their prices as well. Of course, nothing is a sure thing. Diplomats may have made some big progress this week to bring down food prices and alleviate world hunger. Representatives from Russia, Ukraine, Turkey, and the United Nations met about ways to release a huge supply of grain that's been backed up in Ukraine, blocked by Russian warships. Now, officials say they agreed on key aspects of a plan. All sides seem to be on board, but a final agreement would still need to be approved by Russian President Putin, and officials say that's no easy task. Right now, Ukraine is only exporting 1/3 of the grain it used to, so grain and other exports are piling up. And Ukraine is running out of places to store its crops, all while food prices go up and food shortages get worse in some parts of the world. So this is a pretty high-stakes deal that still needs to be finalized. Stay tuned. President Biden is working to reassure Israel the U.S. has its back, especially when it comes to Iran. Biden kicked off his first Middle East trip as president yesterday in Israel. There, he told leaders he's determined to stop Iran's nuclear program, and that if it came down to it, he would even be willing to use military force. Today, the U.S. and Israel are expected to unveil a joint declaration to commit to such a promise and expand upon a military partnership. Then, tomorrow, he's set to meet with Palestinian officials before heading to Saudi Arabia. Biden has promised to confront the Saudis on human rights issues and talk about ways to help stabilize the oil markets. To be continued. Now to a story that's been getting international attention in the aftermath of the U.S. Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade. Reports earlier this month said a 10-year-old girl from Ohio had been raped and that she had to travel to Indiana to get an abortion, since her home state now bans the procedure. The reports were attributed to an Indiana doctor who provides abortion services. And soon after, the story became a top talking point. Some abortion advocates, like President Biden, pointed to it as evidence of cruel consequences to strict new abortion bans. But some abortion opponents doubted whether the rape actually happened, saying there wasn't enough evidence. Some lawmakers even called it a lie and fake news. But that was before this week, when police arrested a suspect for raping and impregnating an Ohio 10-year-old girl. Yesterday, police say they confirmed the girl got an abortion because of it and that the suspect confessed. Ohio's governor called the case a tragedy and said child rapists should spend the rest of their lives in prison. He had signed Ohio's abortion ban into law, and in the past, lawmakers who voted for the ban have said babies conceived by rape still have rights. The suspected rapist is now in jail on a $2 million bond. Americans who have yet to get a COVID-19 vaccine now have another option. The FDA just authorized a fourth one, this time from Novavax. It comes in 2 doses, just like the shots that have been widely used so far from Pfizer and Moderna. But unlike those options, the Novavax one uses a different type of vaccine technology. It's protein-based, like the vaccines already on the market for hepatitis B and whooping cough. Basically, that means the shot uses protein fragments of the virus to teach the immune system how to spot COVID-19 and fight it off. In trials, the Novavax vaccine was more than 90% effective against mild, moderate, and severe COVID-19. The company says it should work against the more recent versions of the virus as well. Novavax also says its vaccines cause even fewer side effects than the Moderna or Pfizer shots, although the shots will include a warning that there's a very small risk of heart inflammation. Experts do say the risk is still higher with a COVID infection. The Novavax option should be available soon, pending sign-off from the CDC. More news still ahead, but first, a quick break for our sponsor, ZocDoc. Because you listen to this show, I know you do not like wasting your time. And calling around a bunch of doctors' offices to see which ones will take your insurance is often such a waste of time. So enter ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app that shows you doctors who are patient-reviewed, are available when you need them, and take your insurance. So it gives you all the tools you need to find the perfect doctor for your needs. Plus, you can read up on local doctors through verified patient reviews. And again, you will not waste your time checking out doctors that ultimately are out of network. Every month, millions of people use ZocDoc, and I'm one of them whenever I need a new doctor. So go to ZocDoc.com/newsworthy and download the ZocDoc app for free. Then start your search for a top-rated doctor today. Many are available within 24 hours. That's ZocDoc, ZocDoc, ZocDoc.com/newsworthy, ZocDoc.com/newsworthy. A statue of educator, civil rights leader, and presidential advisor Mary McLeod Bethune is now in the U.S. Capitol, making her the first Black American to be represented in the National Statuary Hall collection. That's a collection of 100 statues from all 50 states inside a central room in the Capitol building. There are 2 statues for each state. This statue of Mary McLeod Bethune replaces one of a Confederate general from Florida. Bethune advocated for Black Americans from the schoolhouse to the White House and helped lay the groundwork for the civil rights movement. Democrats and Republicans came together to honor her. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy hosted the unveiling of her statue this week at the Capitol. Her granddaughter said, quote, "To have her statue here is quite phenomenal, as a reminder of what our democracy is about." Well, just days after the so-called Uber files were leaked that we told you about earlier this week, Uber is facing a new lawsuit. More than 500 women in multiple states are suing the company, saying they were kidnapped, sexually assaulted, harassed, stalked, and more. They blame the company itself for a range of things from negligence around hiring and supervising drivers to product design flaws. An Uber spokesperson told TechCrunch the company cannot comment on pending litigation, but that it takes every report seriously, and that Uber has built new safety features. Just a couple weeks ago, Uber released its second safety report showing sexual assault on the platform was down, and that, quote, "The vast majority of trips on Uber, more than 99.9%, are completed without any safety report at all." The crypto crash has impacted yet another company in the space. Cryptocurrency lender Celsius Network filed for bankruptcy protection. This is a company that the Wall Street Journal says built itself on a pitch that it was less risky than a bank and had better returns for its customers. And it became one of the biggest crypto lenders on that promise. But ultimately, there was little cushion for the current crypto winter. This bankruptcy filing is not a total surprise, though. Just last month, Celsius Network suddenly froze customers' withdrawals, swaps, and transfers. And there have been questions about its business model and future. Celsius Network hopes to keep operating while the bankruptcy courts restructure the company. A lot more electric vehicle batteries will soon be churned out right here in the U.S. Panasonic says it will build the world's largest electric vehicle battery plant in Kansas. It's a $4 billion project, which the governor in Kansas calls the largest private investment in Kansas history. This will bring 4,000 permanent jobs to the state that will pay about $50,000 a year on average. But Panasonic did not pick Kansas randomly. There were some incentives. The Kansas City Star cited rough estimates that say the project will cost the state $1.3 billion in refundable tax credits, payroll tax incentives, and training grants. And you can expect a lot more EV battery factories like this one to be built soon, since several automakers have been investing in that part of their businesses. Already earlier this year, GM announced it's building battery factories in Michigan. It looks like a cheaper version of Netflix is on track to come out by the end of this year. Of course, it's only going to be cheaper because it's going to include ads. Well, this week, the streaming giant says it has hired Microsoft to provide technology for those advertisements. Netflix still hasn't said exactly how much the ad-supported version will cost or an exact launch date, but reports say Netflix employees have been told it will roll out sometime in 2022. For now, the cost of a Netflix subscription is still between $10 to $20 a month here in the US, and Netflix says those ad-free versions are not going anywhere. This will just give users another choice. That's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Thing to Know Thursday, all about Bastille Day. But first, thanks to our sponsor, Thrive Cosmetics. I used to wear so much makeup when I worked for TV news every day, and it always felt so caked on. Well, now I'm happy to report that I get to choose to only wear the makeup I want when I want, and I choose a lot of Thrive Cosmetics products. They have high-performance beauty and skincare products made with clean ingredients. Right now, I am a huge fan of the Liquid Lash Extensions Mascara. Not only does it lengthen my lashes, but it also supports healthier-looking lashes over time, and it's really easy to remove. I also love the Liquid Balm Lip Treatment. It's a leave-on serum that looks really glossy while also still moisturizing. Plus, Cause is in the name for a reason. With their bigger-than-beauty mission, every purchase supports organizations that help communities thrive. So now is a great time to try Thrive Cosmetics for yourself. Right now, you can get 15% off your first order when you visit thrivecosmetics.com/newsworthy. That's Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSEMETICS, thrivecosmetics.com/newsworthy for 15% off your first order. Now back to Thing to Know Thursday. Today is Bastille Day. It's a French holiday commemorating an uprising that helped usher in the French Revolution. It's a national holiday in France, so a lot of people there have the day off to remember the history and celebrate. As always, there are festivities planned like parades, concerts, and parties. But this year, there won't be as many fireworks displays as usual. Since France is going through a rough heat wave right now, there are fears the big shows could spark wildfires. By the way, there are also a lot of ways to celebrate Bastille Day here in the United States, since several cities and towns host their own celebrations. Like in New York City, the French consulate is hosting a festival in Central Park. There's an annual block party in San Francisco with performances, games, and wine. In New Orleans, Bastille Day celebrations take over the French Quarter. And Milwaukee hosts one of the biggest Bastille Day events in the U.S. That one includes a replica Eiffel Tower, street performers, food stalls, and more. Of course, others will go for more low-key celebrations like dining out at a French restaurant or popping open a bottle of French wine. Well, thank you so much for listening today. If you enjoyed the Newsworthy, please do consider sharing it with a friend today. We really appreciate you helping us spread the word. It is one of the best ways you can support the show. We'll be back with much more news to know tomorrow. Until then, have a great day.